Hello and welcome for this last episode of 27 Neues aus der Arbeitswelt, news from the world of work. I did a little translation yesterday and I was like, yeah, okay, I take this. And welcome to Felicia Nagel.
Thank you very much, Monica, for having me.
Hi, Felicia. I'm really happy that you're here. And as always, I'm doing a quick check on the technical side. It looks good. We're online. Fine. Felicia, we actually don't know each other for long, actually like for a week or something, because you did a podcast interview with Anita Pitch on the Frauenstimmen podcast, and somehow it did something to me. So I reached out to you and we had a really nice meeting in Vienna. I guess it was last week or so, 10 days ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And spontaneously, I asked you to do this little talk and this interview together because there's so many interesting topics I would like to dive into with you today.
And I'm happy to share it. So it's a good match.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. I'd like to start with a question I'm asking everyone. It's a personal question. And I would like to know if you compare your life 10 years from now, so 10 years ago, with now, your life now. What has changed? How was the process? Maybe you can invite us listeners a little bit into your life and into your processes as well.
Yeah. Wow. 10 years ago, I just finished university. I was doing I finished my master's and I was doing an internship in Moscow at McKinsey. So I was really very career driven. I left home earlier, so at the age of 17, and I always left with the idea that, I want to get it high, gonna go high. And back then, I still even remember I had the idea that I'll make it a partner in strategy consulting. I was so focused. I had like one road, and I just knew that if I work hard, I get there, because that's what worked in the last years. And now I'm at a place where I say I do have a road, but it's much more flexible. And I've changed in the meantime my career 3 times. So I changed from strategy consulting later to product development. And currently I moved into personal coaching and body work. So I went from being a person that was completely in the mind, very structured, very analytical, anything done, to really going now and feeling, okay, I actually have my body that is much more wise than I have assumed. And I can use my whole intelligence, not only the intellectual mind, to really live my life. And yeah, the quality of life has also dramatically improved, I have to say. I still remember when I was working at that internship, I was having like rashes on my skin because of stress. I was sleeping very few hours. We were doing often all-nighters, actually, also in the office in McKinsey in Moscow. So it was really forget about anything that has to do with quality of life. It was all about achieving something. And now it's really a lot now about how do I achieve, but enjoying my life. Like the premise is to have a fulfilled life, because we have one life. And we know how much we're gonna live.
I can relate a lot to that, and I want to ask one more deep dive question on that. So, what was your doorway or your entrance kind of to actually experiment or get to know something else? Yeah, because I think I know a little bit where you come from in a different way, of course, but also being very in my head and very career driven. And for me, it was a certain feeling I had in that, like the successes, and we will talk about external and internal success a little bit later, but the successes I had, they gave me happiness, And they gave me joy, but it was very superficial, and it was like a bubble, a soap bubble or something. Yeah, it bursted really quickly again, and then I was back into my mode of da 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 da. And deep inside, I had a kind of a not so good feeling, yeah, but I couldn't really grab it. I couldn't name it. I didn't have a vocabulary for it because couldn't really. I was a little bit numb, but I felt something's off. And for me, then it was the yoga path that opened the door a little bit to that world, I say. And then from that on, I moved on and did a lot of like research and stuff. How was it for you?
Yeah, I can find myself in these words, and I think most of the people who go through this external validation, they will have a feeling at some point that yes, I'm achieving and it's actually going well. I'm having everything what I have wished for. I'm having extremely high pay job, secure, having my flat, my car, having a husband, having friends all over the world. I'm traveling every second weekend. I can afford extremely nice holidays across the world. And then you still feel like you're running and running for something. And at some point, I understood from strategy consulting when I moved to product, the switch was I understood that I'm doing a lot of intellectual work, but I'm not applying it. And I realized that I want to apply it more. So there was a more of a softer switch. So I chose to go into product development where I could really implement what I'm suggesting, so to say. But then I got caught again in this validation loop. I was extremely happy that I was a person that came from no background in tech, but I received a lot of responsibility. I was having a team immediately of more or less 20 people managing. The CEO was calling me in for like high level decisions. I got a very big part of the business back then given to me to be built. So I was feeling very proud, and I got caught again into this doing hamster wheel, so to say. And I have to say, I did not even realize that I'm not fulfilled. What made me realize I had, unfortunately, a very severe accident that made me stop. So I was feeling very proud. And what happened is because when I had the accident, I basically was forced to lie and to not do anything. I was looking back at my life and I was thinking, I could have died. Like I could have died. And what's all of these things that I've been driving for? Like I was completely weight. I was about 20 kilos more than now because I was not eating properly. I was really overworked. There was no relationship really between me and my husband. We were really roommates because I was just putting my work on number one. And so it really, when this moment, this crash came, I'm so happy it came because it really made me realize that, okay, something needs to change. Then a lot of things happened. So for you, it was yoga, for example, on the way. Also yoga, but not only yoga. I really started questioning all of my beliefs. I started questioning what am I really here for, and why do I not have the courage, for example, to go into personal coaching when that's something I wanted to do already with the age of 18. At 18, I did not see how I could make a profession out of it. And yeah, I questioned a lot of the social norms in terms of I went without a phone for a month, then I went on a Nokia for some months. I opened my marriage, like I did a lot of random stuff to really get me to where I am, my own authority.
Yeah, I totally can relate to the dream of becoming a personal coach, but not seeing how. And then it takes a long time until you actually figure it out somehow. It was the same with me. So now the word just caught me. You said something about your own authentic. When we prepared today's interview a bit, talked a little bit about what do we want to actually talk about. We also talked about authentic intelligence, and especially as now in the world of artificial intelligence, and the way we just are about to learn how to deal with it, how to work with it, and how to live with it. So what do you think? How will it go on? What will be in a year from now and 5 years from now? How will it change us, and what's important? Yeah.
It will change a lot. I mean, that's also not only my mind. It's what we see actually happening, right? Like we see that the adoption rate of artificial intelligence is just so much faster because, for example, if it took Gmail 60 months to reach 100 million users, it took ChatGPT 2 months. So it's really the rate at which we're going. We're not even really feeling it, maybe. And the way we all of a sudden got caught in on the social media and the doom scrolling ourselves, that's how I think the other more engaging AI will really come into our life. And it's really now a lot, not anymore so much about outperforming, because in the past it was a lot about doing the hard work and doing the hard work and doing the hard work. And with the hard work, then you can get somewhere. And the AI changes from doing the hard work or outperforming somebody to outsmarting somebody. So the focus, I think, in the future years is really about learning the skills and keeping up with the skills of what's coming. While in parallel to the keeping the skills, we still, I think, will see a much bigger need for understanding who we are authentically, because there will be so much noise. I mean, we already now know what it means to be caught in the doom scrolling of either YouTube, Instagram, or whatever social media. And we find it hard to get out of that. And this is only curated AI. Wait until the AI becomes engaging with you and tells you the things that you want to hear. You will not know anymore, like, how do I get out of here? Do I want to get out? So this will be two important skills. On one hand, to really learn to work with AI to see where it can bring us forward, but on the other hand, to really understand who am I and how do I stay true to myself.
And I guess also, like, in which quality do I want to spend my life, and how do I find the moment to, like, step back from everything that is there and that I am engaging with in my work life, for example, and whatever else. So what do you think? What is that authentic intelligence you named? What is that for you?
When you ask me this question, I have an example from Mo Gadwat. He was the chief business officer at Google X, and he was there between 2013 and 18, when actually a lot of AI that we are currently using has been already put its basis. And what I really love about him is that he says, I will be that old-fashioned car on the roads. So I think we'll have a lot of directions in which we will have the possibility to develop ourselves. We will either be merged with maybe AI, because we'll have personal assistants, we'll have maybe lovers on AI, we'll have sex dolls, we'll have partners. So it could go all the way in that extreme, but it could also go in the extreme of saying, I'll be an old-fashioned car, and this is my authentic self. So the question is more for each of us to decide on this spectrum, where do we want to be and what is authentic for us.
And I also recall at some point when we talked, you talking about the inner compass.
Yeah.
My inner compass clearly lives in my body and not in my head. So that's what I know about it. And for me, it is kind of like my intuition and my boundaries and my personal right and wrong, because I don't really believe in the general right and wrong anymore. It's more a personal wisdom of right and wrong. So this is what I have in my mind when hearing that word. What is it for you? And how do you live it?
Yeah. I would find it very similar to yours. And I would assume ultimately for most of us, the inner compass is this, what we either say gut feeling, or where we know from our heart that something is right. It's where the rational is not anymore defining us, but we're using the rational for ourselves. But my concern, especially when we look at it in comparison with artificial intelligence, is that artificial intelligence will be so good at giving us what we want to hear, that we will not even have a feeling whether it's right and not right. And I've already mentioned a few times the doom scrolling, with doom scrolling, very often you almost feel like it's right to get off, but you still don't get off. You're still caught into it and you're even enjoying it. And that's the strange thing about the inner compass, because it could feel that I'm actually enjoying it, so what's wrong with it? But you know that if you're caught into it, 2 hours later, you'll feel depleted once you get. So that's the difficulty with the inner compass. You can only really reference to it if you've had it,
Yes.
the experience, and then you use the power of the power of the mind to tell yourself what is right for you now. So that's the difficulty about the inner compass in the future.
Yeah, and it's also kind of like a balance, because what I notice, what I really need my mind for me, it's like the masculine energy and it's like the discipline. So it's that thing that shuts it off. Yeah. So this is what you need the discipline for, but it comes from a different place in the body, so to speak, a different wisdom. Yeah.
Exactly.
When we talk about leadership, how does that authentic intelligence or the inner compass, how do you see how will leadership change in the next years, and what will become more important maybe, or maybe it changes completely? So what do you see?
Mhm. On the big level, the fundamentals are very similar. Even if we look at papers from the 90s, they were always saying that leaders in a company are trying to always find a balance between sustaining the business that is already profitable and then creating something new. So it's always this balance. However, we even see in the last 2 years, and I've seen it personally in all the companies that I work, this balance is something damn hard to achieve. It's People are either really stuck on their cash cows, so to say, they're really stuck onto like their current business and they want to innovate, but they are using the same skill set that they're using for running a business, and then it doesn't work because you go into copying competitors or you are just copying things rather than really truly innovating. And in the future, this will become even more challenging for the leadership because this innovation area requires even more skills. So in the past, it might have been enough to look within the industry or the kind of the similar industries, but now this innovation is so meta level, so to say. It's not anymore like on a smaller level, but it's where you really need skills to really understand, okay, how blockchain that is now completely used in financing only or primarily, how can I use this technology in my pharmaceuticals? Or so it's much broader knowledge that I have to be aware of as a leader. And therefore, I need to be much more open and much more curious. So, this is one of the challenges to balance between these two businesses. The other aspect that is very interesting is that we see that even today, burnout is a very big phenomena. It's really crazy to see that, for example, a study from McKinsey from 2022, after interviewing 15,000 people in 15 countries, they showed that 25% of the people display symptoms of burnout. And we can only imagine that the more the authentic intelligence, the artificial intelligence really rises, and the more options there are, the higher the pressure will be on the people. And therefore, because they will not know anymore, do I still have my job? What skills do I need to do? There will be bigger and bigger disorientation. So that will become another responsibility for the leaders to create a truly health-oriented organization. Because until now, we are talking about mental health, but we're talking about inclusion. But very often these are more like what we call greenwashing, pinkwashing. These are all done just for the looks of it. But on one hand, a lot of companies say, yes, we care about mental health, but on the other hand, they are still pushing their employees into patterns that are very unhealthy. So leaders will need to finally acknowledge that you have to bring the two together, is to walk the talk. So this
Mm-hmm.
that's the second aspect for me. One is really, how do I become curious to explore and to understand everything that's coming out? And at the same time, how do I really take care of my people? Because otherwise, no one to lead. Then I'm on.
Yeah, listening to you, I again come back to that inner compass, because it's so many other things I can think of now. It's like even you have to like find a direction somehow in the disorientation, and yeah, so much other things I could dive into now, because I also very much like this topic of leadership, or how more the self-leadership, or the, as you said, creating an environment. So that for me is a leadership, creating the environment of where we can, figure it out, or something like that. Yeah. But I would want to come as a last question back to a topic we've been already, the internal and external success, because there is one one thing you mentioned is also, I don't know if today or if in our pre-talks, I don't know, is the balance between internal and external success. And I want to challenge that balance. I understand it somehow. I get it. Yeah, balance, always good, always a good thing. But why is it a balance? Like, why you told me that you like being in the mountains, and you spend a lot of times in the mountains too. I assume that this is kind of an internal success for you, like to feel fulfilled and to feel at peace or whatever, and at ease. Why isn't that enough? Why do we need an external success still, if we are already on that search for the internal success? So what is it for you? How would you say that?
For me, it's not really necessarily a search for external success, but I do not. So when we talk only about internal success, I have in my mind an image of a yogi sitting on the top of a mountain. I can achieve internal success like this as well by going in India and spending most of my life there. However, I see in my position actually a responsibility by for what I've already lived, for what I've already experienced, for all the things that I hope younger women or younger professionals do not get to experience. And this then becomes external. It's not necessarily to go after the external success, but it becomes more of a sharing and really
An expression.
Yes, it's an expression of who we are, and this expression is mostly towards the outside. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why it's a balance. It's still a
Yeah.
balance. It's still, finding and understanding how much time do I really need for myself, and how much can I give. And when I give, do I take or do I receive something in this process of giving? But where is it the sweet spot for me?
Totally. So now 2024 is gonna start. What are you up to in the first weeks and months of the year? Is there something you offer? Is there workshops? Can you say something about maybe something? Where could we reach you if we want to go a little bit deeper on the journey to the inner compass?
Yes. I'm currently planning some workshops, and in the end of January, there will be a workshop that focuses on anger. And I think that's a very important compass because it's directly connected to our boundaries. And then in February, I'm focusing much more on the relationship dynamic and relationships and what actually healthy relationships are. What is conflict in relationships? How do you give and take in relationships? So then there is another series of workshops.
Oh yeah, now I got stuck a little bit. I don't know if it's only with me that your screen froze. Now she's gone. So how to say goodbye to someone who's not here anymore and who I want to hear the goodbye. Let's see if she's coming back in a second, or if we just end the interview like this, being very grateful for that talk with Felicia Nagel, if you want to search her online. I also can recommend the Frauenstimmen podcast that I mentioned at the beginning. And well, let's see if she comes back. And it's my turn now to wish you a happy new year and a Merry Christmas. And for me, that was the last interview of my series, 20 minutes, 7 interviews. That's interview number 7. And I'm currently contemplating if I should do a second round, so to speak.
I'm
Yeah,
here.
you're back for the goodbye. I'm lucky and I'm really happy that you came back. Would have been weird to say goodbye to you without you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But I think we got a little glimpses of the workshops you just mentioned about anger and about relationship and conflicts and whatsoever, and ongoing, I guess, in the year of 2024.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Felicia, for the interview and for the talks. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you for your time. It went well so quickly by. Yeah, I'm really honored to have been here.
Yeah, true. Thank you, Felicia. Bye bye.